Hello, good morning to everybody, or good evening, wherever you are. I hope you are well. Welcome to today's live. I'm going to be showing you how to do some statement dangly earrings. A little bit different. I've called them Helter Skelter because they've got a lovely kind of, twist to them. I'm using small little crystals. I think they're 2x3, but I'll go through the measurements with you in a little while. And we've got three lovely colours. They're very twinkly. Kind of getting into party season jewellery, I think. So I hope you're all well. It's rather drizzly. It's been raining heavy here this morning. And yeah, autumn is upon us. So welcome. Good morning to Phoenix. She says, oh, these look lovely. I might be able to catch a bit of the live. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Drop me a comment. Where in the world are you watching me from? How are you doing? And have you had a nice weekend, I suppose, because it's Monday again, isn't it? Rachel says, good morning from a cloudy Barrow. So I think most of the UK, well, I don't know. I say that. The weather's very changeable depending on where you are. I have been away working over the weekend and the weather was miserable there and beautiful here. So it does depend whereabout you are, I suppose, if you're in the UK. Good morning to Debbie. She said it definitely feels like autumn now. I do love autumn. Good morning to Jan. She says, good morning, Natalie and my beading family from a bright but damp Sudbury. Good morning to Lisa, who's hoping I'm well. Thank you so much. I'm good, thank you. I hope you're well too, Lisa. And Jan says, I love these earrings. Oh, I'm really glad you like them. I've not even shown you them yet, but they're really, really straightforward to do. Good morning to Camille. She says she's in a wet and yucky linum. Good morning to Mina. Good morning to the lovely Pauline. She says, good morning, everybody, on this wet Monday morning. So I'm going to take you over to the website now. I'll show you the materials that you need. You don't need much at all, really. In terms of your tools, it's very straightforward, and I've got a really high-tech piece of equipment in my kit today. It is a pencil. That's what I'm going to use to make the shape. You don't need anything particularly fancy with this. So maybe round nose pliers, wire straighteners. If you've got some nylon coated pliers, they're always handy. Wire cutters, chain nose. I think that's about it for tools. Good morning to Mel, who's in Australia, or good evening to Mel, that's in Australia. I hope you're well. Hello to Anastasia as well, who is wishing us peace and love. So over we go to the website, and I'll show you your kits. If you want to purchase them from us today, you can make exactly what I'm making here with exactly the same components. And we are on totallybeads.co.uk. So we do ship worldwide. So if you are maybe like Mel and you're watching in Australia, you can always get these kits as well if you want to. So I'm heading into the video tutorial category here, and I'm going to scroll down and I will find today's Helter Skelter earrings. So as you can see, they're rather statement-like, but you can make these much smaller if you want to. I quite like sometimes I refer to them as shoulder dusters. They're not quite that long, but you can change these up. It's really easy to kind of manipulate the size of that spiral. Just depends how long you pull that spiral out for. Also how many crystals you want to add on to the spiral and how long you want to make your lengths of chain. So in each kit, you're making 2 pairs of earrings, and they're only £4.99. So it's like, what, £2.50 for a pair of earrings, if my math serves me correctly, which I think is a very good deal. So you got them in black diamond, crystal clear, and electric green. So I'm bringing a little bit of the party season, as I say, maybe a little bit of autumn vibes. You could wear these for Halloween. You could make these quite snake-like if you wanted. You could do whatever you want with them. Okay, so I'll show you what's in the black diamond kit. This I've put on the gold colourway. So you've got your chain included in your kit, your crystal rondelles, your crystal drop beads, your copper wire, which is gold coloured. This is a 0.6mm wire, which is 22 gauge for those that work in that system. You're going to get your head pins. You're going to get your jump rings, and I'm using lovely small little dainty jump rings. They are 4x7, I think, the jump rings. And you're also going to get your earring hooks. So they're going to look like this when you assemble them all together, if you choose to do so in this way. if we have a little scroll down, you'll see the colour of the crystal drops and the little crystal rondelles and what dimensions they are. So the crystal rondelles are 2 by 3 millimetre and they're in a charcoal shadow, and the crystal drops are 5 by 7 in black diamond, and they are faceted and they are very, very twinkly. And this is going to be the colourway that I demo for you today. Because I quite like black and gold, and that's how they look in the ear. If you cut them to this length and you add that many on and you do them exactly like this, but as I say, you can make them a little bit smaller or even larger again if you wish to. We've got the crystal clear for you as well, which I've put on, I think they're on silver, or it could be rhodium. Well, anyway, you've got again the all the same things you need in your kit. Yeah, it is a silver colorway. So you can see you've got your chain there. You don't need much of the chain, just small and dainty chain. But again, if you wanted to make this with stuff that you might have in your own stash, then you could change up your components if you wanted a more chunkier chain. But I think this one looks perfect with this style of earring. So you've got your crystal rondelles in a clear AB. That stands for Aurora Borealis, which means it's got very twinkly kind of petrol type finish on it. Although those crystals are clear, they have the most beautiful kind of rainbow colours running through them. You've got like pinks and lots of lovely gold twinkles and things in there. And then you've got your crystal drops, which again are your 5 by 7 in crystal clear. So they dangle beautifully off the bottom, just on a little ball pin. I chose the ball pins today because I think they just add that little finish. I love a ball pin. They add the little finish there onto your crystal drops. I think they are about 50 millimeters, which are about 2 inches in length. So they are your gorgeous crystal clear Helter Skelter earrings. And then lastly, we've got the electric green, which I absolutely adore the crystals in these. Today they are my favourite. These ones are the rhodium, so the others are silver. These are your rhodium ones. Absolutely beautiful colour on these. I've got a photo of the crystal drop, but it's the same really. It's got that gorgeous same green iris twinkle running all across it, and I'll show you them down on the mat as well. Of course, these look better in because they hang beautifully, and if you've got them down on the mat, which I'm going to be showing you, then they're not going to sit as they would if you were wearing them, and that's the whole point of jewellery. It's meant to be worn. So each kit is going to make up 2 pairs of earrings for you. So you've got one to make and wear yourself and one to gift. And they are £4.99 each, whether you choose the black diamond, the crystal clear, or the electric green. So I'm just going to head quickly back into the comments and say hello to anybody that I have missed or has just come in, and then I'm going to take you down on the mat and I'm going to show you how it all works. So good morning to Carol. Jackie's in as well. She says good morning everyone. Miserable today, but more time for creating. Love to Anna for your careful packing. Okay, so Anna is one of our wonderful team members in the warehouse who puts your kits together, and they're all lovely. They're all really lovely in there. They're all incredibly hard working, and they take lots of care over whatever it is that you choose to purchase from Totally Beads, and they'll write their name on your slip so you know who it is that's packed it for you, so you got that little personal touch as well. Anastasia's in, and she's saying peace and love to everybody. And we've got Judith as well, who says they look lovely. Thank you very much. Good morning to Elaine. Camille is wanting the summer back. She's had enough rain already. I know, Camille. It is what it is. It's so wet and drizzly. I'm just sick of getting drenched on the school run. And Mel says they're beautiful. Birgit's in as well. Good morning to you from a grey Germany. She says, good morning to myself and all you lovely people here. And she's saying hello to you all. And Kay's in as well, who's in Wisconsin. So hello to you. Right, so I will show you them down on the mat, and I'll show you all the bits and bobs that you'll get in your kit and what we're making with today. If I can get that to go big. There you go. Okay, so we've got the gorgeous gold with these black curly crystals and those lovely little drops. You've got the beautiful clear colourway. If I can hold that up, I'd like to show you the twinkles in there. Obviously they're all faceted, so they're all going to sparkle beautifully, but you can see occasionally little flashes of colour in these because they are AB. And then these absolute beauties. Look at the colour on them. Love them. And they're your crystals, because I know they weren't on the description. Camille saying nice nails. I'm going for my little autumn witch vibe. So I've got my rain clouds, I've got my moons and my stars. And I got some teeny little pumpkins too. I don't know, you can't see it, it's gone a bit blurred. Showing the jewellery, which it should do. Okay, so in your kit, you're going to get enough to make 2 pairs of earrings. I'll show you the tools and the materials I'm using. So I've got my trusty ruler just to measure bits and bobs out. You're going to need a pair of ear wires for 1 pair of earrings. You're going to need 4 of your gorgeous little drops, which will be for each pair of earrings, because I'm just dangling them on the chain. Of course, you've got your chain as well. I'm going to use these lovely tiny little crystals, which are beautiful and sparkly. Camera's struggling to pick them up because they're so twinkly. Oh, fabulous. Anastasia says, I've got stuff in my cart right now to purchase. I was just waiting for this class to do these earrings. Oh, that's lovely. I'm really pleased that you like them. These are the ball pins that I'm using. So you can see there's quite a good length to them, but you don't need all that length. I'm going to be cutting most of it off. And you can do wrap loops with these or turned loops, whichever you prefer. Then I've got my 2 lovely little jump rings, which I say are the, I think they're 4x7 jump rings. Thanks, Carol. She says, wow, these are beautiful. Birgit says, lovely and sparkly. And I'm using the 0.6mm wire, which is a 22 gauge. So to get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 lengths of chain. Now, when I'm making them, you can either do it so your chain is the same length, or you can stagger them, and I think they look quite nice when the chain is slightly staggered. So I'm going to cut, you're going to get plenty in your kit, but I would say I'm going to just cut 2 lengths of chain and then I'm going to cut them in half. So they're going to be exactly the same length, and this one's going to be exactly the same length, but these two, or 2 of these pieces and the 2 of these pieces, will slightly vary. So what I've done here is I've cut this length to about 8 centimeters, so they're going to be 4 centimeters each. And then I've cut this to 10 centimeters, so they're going to be about 5 centimeters each. So there's not going to be much difference in them, but it will just give it a little staggered look, and I think that looks really, really lovely. So to cut my chain, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fold it in half to find the middle. So I bring those 2 ends together, and then I take what will be the middle loop, or link rather, and then I just dangle it down and let gravity let me know if I've got that perfectly lined up, and I've not. So I'm going to move over one. Okay, so then if I open up my links in my chain, it's not soldered. They are, you can open them just like you would a jump ring. Just going to check, I'm going to keep that link and keep it onto that side. So all I'm going to do is just open it up very gently. I'm going to cut it in half. You can just cut through if it's easier, but I don't like to waste things, so I like to use all my links if possible. And then I'm just going to make sure that one is perfectly closed. So again, just closing it up like a jump ring, check it's lovely and closed. And then I've got 2 even lengths of chain there. So I'm going to put one in one pile and one in the other. And then I'm going to do the same with the next length of chain. So really, I would say in terms of your length of chain, you're probably only going to need about 12 centimetres all in all, so about 6 centimetres each. But as I say, I kind of like the look when it's staggered a little bit. So I'm just going to bring those two ends together in my hands, and I'm just going to find that middle link. So if I hold it up, I can check that it's even. If it is even and I don't need that link, I'm just going to open it up. Let me just check. Yeah. I'm going to open it up. Take off the link, and I've got those two even pieces. So again, popping that in that pile and that in that pile. So I've got enough for each of my earrings. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, you can do this in any order. You can attach your ball pins and your crystal drops now, or you can make the spiral. So we'll do the crystal drops next, and I'll add that to the chain. So I'm putting my drops on so that the wider part of the bottom is sitting next to that little ball. You can, if you want, pop them around the other way so they're kind of tapered, or you could have one of each. So just have a little look and see which you like the look of the most, which way round you like them. I'll do mine this way, and I'll have them all the same. So I'm just going to turn a little loop with this. I'm not going to do a wrap loop, but if you want to, you absolutely can. So to turn my loop, I'm just going to bend my ball pin really close to the top of that crystal. If I was making a wrap loop, I'd want to leave a little bit of space between the crystal bead and the bend so I could fill that in with my wraps. But because I'm just going to turn a loop, I'm just going to cut and leave approximately about 1 centimetre, keeping hold of that pin as I cut it so it doesn't fire away. And then I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and I'm just going to turn that loop. So I'm going to make sure it's nice and flush. I only want a small loop, so I'm going to use towards the smaller end of my pliers where it tapers away from the handle. Give it a little turn all the way round, just to make that little loop sit at the top there. But I have put the longer pins in your kit, so if you wanted to do wrap loops, you've got enough of that pin to do that with, and it's a nice soft pin that you can turn it. Again, I'm going to leave around 1 centimetre from that bend, holding on to the end of it so it doesn't fire away. And again, you can keep these little offcuts if you want to, and you can do you can make little pins with that as well, waste not, want not. So I'm going to pop in my pliers, give it a little turn towards me, reposition my hand, and turn that pin all the way around so my loop is sitting nice and neatly and straight at the top. And I'm going to do that with all 4, because I'd like to add one to each end of the length of chain. So again, I'm going to cut off, leaving about 1 centimetre. And you can add these onto your chain now, or you can do it later. It's really up to you. If you're making both pairs of earrings that you get in your kit at once, you might want to cut your chain first, do all your drops second, whatever you want to do. So again, just cutting off about 1 centimetre will be enough for me to, the camera's struggling to focus a little bit because I've got that much on my desk. So let's move those slightly out the way. Good morning, Anna. I hope you're well. Good morning to Joanne as well, who's in a very wet Coventry. She's wishing everybody, hoping you've all had a lovely weekend. Good morning to Jackie. Hopefully I've not missed anybody. So again, lining it up. giving it a little turn. So I just flick that pin towards me, and then I reposition my hands so my knuckles are away from me, and then I can make those little tiny motions all the way around just to turn that loop. And then I can open that loop. Now, if I was making a wrap loop before I wrapped the pin around itself, I'd be attaching it onto the chain to make sure that that's, fully in place. If I've turned a loop like I have here, that means I can open up that loop that I've made, slide my chain on, and then close it over. Just make sure it's perfectly closed and there's no gaps. Now because I've done 2 different lengths of chain, I've tried to ensure that I've kept them separate. So the shorter one and the longer one is in one little pile on this side, and then the others will be kept over there. It's not the end of the world if I do need to change it and take it off again. But I want them to match and be symmetrical. So I'm just opening and closing that up like a jump ring. I'm taking my loop and I'm flipping it open towards me, but only by a tiny bit. I'm just sliding the last link of that chain into the loop, and then I'm closing it back down to make sure it's perfectly closed. So I've got them ready to go. And now I get to do the kind of fun heltery skeltery bit. So I'm going to cut approximately 2 lengths of about 12 centimeters, 12 to 15 centimeters, so about 5 or 6 inches. And I've got my 0.6 wire, which is 22 gauge. So I'm just going to lay that against my ruler. I'll do 15. And I want to make sure that my wire lengths are the same for each earring. So I'm just going to cut that off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a small loop at the end just to make sure that my crystals don't fall off. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers. Again, I'm going to put it flush. I'm not bending the wire though at this point. I'm literally just going to give it a little turn all the way round. If you want to use your bail step pliers, you can do something like this. And this is going to make sure that your loops are exactly the same size each time. I've just used my round nose here. So you can see I've turned that pin and it's looking like a P shape. And just to straighten it up, I'm going to pop my round nose pliers back into the loop. And then I'm just going to give it a little knock, a little tilt. And that's going to make that loop sit a bit like an eye pin just at the top. And now I'm going to add on my lovely tiny little crystals. So for my crystals, I'm going to add on 40 on each one. You can use more or less if you want to. If you want to make it smaller, just add on less crystals. But whatever you do, I think it looks best if whatever you do for this earring, you do for the other one as well. Now, a quick way of getting your lovely little sparkly beads onto your wire is you will find, even though this is a 0.6 or 22 gauge, they should just slide on those drill holes even when they're still attached on to your the stringy material that it comes onto. So I just find that lining it up is a little bit easier than picking it up one by one, because when you pick them up one by one, because they're so twinkly, sometimes it's a little bit hard to find that hole. But if you just line it up like I'm doing here, you can just thread them all on. So I'm going to add 40, so just bear with me while I count. 2, 4, 6, 8 is 10. So I'm just pushing them with my fingers just to get them from the string onto that wire. and then just pushing them down along. They won't fall off because we've got that loop there. I'll double count at the end just to make sure that I've got the same on each one. So they'll go on really quickly if you do it that way. And then all I need to do is just pull that string back and then double count to check. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8 is 20. 2, 4, 6, 8 is 30. 2, 4, 6, 8, missing 1. So I'm just going to add that extra one on. It doesn't have to be exact, but I think it would look okay if it is. So I've just popped on 40 of my crystals onto my wire, and my wire is about, I say, 12 to 15 centimeters, which is about 5 or 6 inches. And then I'm going to add another loop onto the end in a little while. And then I'm just going to curl it around my pencil to make a spiral. So I can bend it close to the last crystal. I mean, I've got quite a lot of wire there left over, so you're not going to need that much. I just think it's always easier to add more than less. So all I've done is just turn that loop roughly the same size as what's starting, make it a fraction bigger. So just brought that round, and then I'm going to come in with my cutters, and I'm just going to, where those 2 parts of the wire overlap, I'm just going to give it a little trim just to make that loop. So I'm just going to bend that crystal out of the way. There you go. And then straighten it up again just to close it over. So I've got my little piece of wire with my crystals on. Good morning to Sally. She's just been able to get you. Earrings look great. And we've got Ellie too. Says, good morning all. I'm a newbie, wet and cold here in Kirby, Liverpool. Oh, I've got a fellow Scouser. Hello, Ellie. I hope you're well. Thank you so much for joining us and making Helter Skelter earrings today. So they're really easy and really fun to do. Okay, so I'm going to do that again because obviously I'm making a pair of earrings. So I'm going to take my wire. I'm going to say here's one I've done earlier, but it's not really. I've just put my beads on in advance. So again, I'm going to take about 12 centimeters, which is about 5 inches. I'm going to turn my loop at the end and straighten it up. I'm going to slide on 40 of my crystals, like so. So these are going to be the same length. And then just give it a little trim off. I'm going to bend my wire at the end of that last crystal. Turn a loop, so just finding the point on my round nose. Going to bring that wire over all the way. And then I'm going to trim off where those wires cross. Sometimes you might find it a little bit easier just to lift that wire away from itself to create a little gap. just so you can get your cutters in. But I'm just going to cut that excess off, and then when I push it back down again, it'll form that perfect loop. So I've now got my 2 even lengths with the crystals on. Now to get that kind of curl, which I've done here, where it's making that kind of Helter Skelter look, I'm just going to take a pencil. It's not my pencil, it's my son's pencil, and Ellie will vouch, it's got the reds and the blues on. Hi Jane from Somerset, she's asking, what tools are you using please? I'm using a pencil. It's really high tech, Jane. I've also got a ruler, I've got a pair of flush cutters, round nose pliers. You can, if you want, to use bail step pliers instead of your round nose. I've got a pair of nylon coated wire straighteners just to straighten out the original wire that I've used, which is a 0.6 or 22 gauge wire, but they're not essential. You can just do that with your fingers. And I'm using 2 pairs of pliers. I've got a chain nose and a flat nose. That's just to open up the jump ring at the end. But if you want something with a little bit finer precision, then I've got these, which are my tweezer nose and my bent tweezer nose. And these are the make sure on, but it doesn't necessarily need to be anything fancy at all, Jane. So my hands are the main tools. Okay, so the high-tech tool, the pencil. I'm just going to take my beautiful crystals, which are on that wire, and I'm going to gently press them around and make the coil. Now I am going to do this quite gently because your crystals are glass, and obviously the more taut they are on the wire, we don't want them to crack or to break. So I'm just going to gently make that kind of spiral around the pencil, and then you can kind of tighten it up a little bit by just giving it a little position with your finger and your thumb. So I'm making kind of like a coil, a bit like when we did the seed bead coil earrings using the dowel or the knitting needle. So you've got this at the moment, and I'm going to do the same with the other. So I'm just holding it between my finger and my thumb, and just going to kind of wrapping it round. Nice and gently, do it nice and slow. And then if you want to kind of tighten it up, you can just do it like that. So I've got these 2 little components, and this is why I mean you can make these as long or as small as you want to, because it just depends on how much you pull them out in terms of that coil. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take those 2 bits, it's kind of gone round once and a bit on each side, and I'm just going to separate them out by just pulling on those ends. Also just going to readjust, because what's happened here is that loop has kind of opened up a little bit as I've wrapped it round, and the crystal's gone into the loop. So this is something that's not happened before, but it's waited till the live to do it. And that's absolutely fine, because it gives me the opportunity to just troubleshoot a little bit. So I'm just going to slide that back open and turn that loop. There you go. So you can manipulate this with your finger, and I'm just going to open out those spirals a little bit by giving them a little pull. Morning Phoenix, she says watching on silent at hubby's got the doctors and I can't find the YouTube subtitles. When I share it onto my page afterwards on YouTube, which is Natalie Pattern Jewellery, spelled the English version of jewellery, I'm I do put the subtitles on, but it has to be done afterwards for some reason. And I know the Totally Beads one doesn't always have them, so I apologise for anybody who's got you know, maybe any hearing difficulties, or even speaks a different language. I know subtitles are really, really useful, and I'll always try my best to add them at the end. So do bear with me. So now I've kind of opened them out. I kind of want them to be even, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. I'll pull them out again a little bit more in a bit. Now that loop at the top, I'm just going to reposition so it's sticking up, and the same with the other side. So I'm just taking any pair of pliers. You can use your tweezers nose, or you can use your chain nose. I think I should try and use my chain nose a bit more often, because I think that's what most people have in their stash, and I don't want you to think you're going to need, you know, anything specific to do this. So you can see they're kind of sticking up a little bit now, and it's just a case of assembling those components together now. So I'm going to take my lovely little jump ring, which is a 4x7 outer diameter measurement, which means from here to here is about 4 millimeters, and the wire gauge that's used for it is a 0.7. I don't know what gauge that is, but they're usually given in, like, you know, these measurements when you're looking, but that's the outer diameter of it. So I'm just taking my small jump ring, and I'm going to open it up by giving it a little turn towards me. I'm not opening it outwards because I don't want to distort the shape of that jump ring. And obviously, the more you open, this little tiny bit here at the bottom is going to start getting weaker and weaker as you twist it and twist it and twist it. So by opening it just a tiny little bit towards me, we'll just make sure that the integrity of its strength and its shape is kept as it needs to be. So I'm going to take my little curly spiral, and I'm going to pop that through onto my jump ring. I'm then going to take my 2 lengths of chain. So I'm going to take the longer one and the shorter one, and I'm going to add them on. And then I'm going to take my ear wire, and I'm going to slide that in too. And then I'm just going to close it up by taking it, can I get a bit of focus on there? Taking it away from me. Now, when I bring that jump ring back into position, take it ever so slightly past the 2 points where the jump ring meets, and then it will spring back because the jump ring's got that kind of memory with it, and because it's, you know, it's made of a wire, so it will then fully spring back closed, and it will align like so. And I'm going to do the same on the next one. So I'm going to take my jump ring. You'll see here, they don't fully line up. When they're cut off the dowel, they'll be, instead of like this, they'll usually be like that. So I'm just going to open it up a little bit towards me, and then when I bring it back closed, it'll spring back together. So taking my jump ring, giving it a little nudge towards me, putting my spiral with the loop that's facing upwards, that I've bent it up vertically on, taking my pieces of chain. So I'm attaching on the last link of the chain, which doesn't have the crystal drop on it. Then I'm attaching on my ear wire, and then I'm closing that up. So I'm just taking as much surface area as I can. That's personally why I like to, I mean, I've got these for wire work, just to tuck in those ends really. I find it's easier to use my more dominant hand. So my right hand is my more dominant, and that's the one that I move. The left hand, or my less dominant hand, is just what I'm holding the other pair of pliers with to hold that other side of the jump ring. And then closing it up like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those lengths of chain, and I'm just going to wrap it around inside that coil to bring it into the center. And I will do the same on the other to show you again. So I'm taking the lengths of chain and I'm just bringing it inside that coil by just winding it round. And then all I need to do is just pull out this section again to where I want it. So I will line it up. And you know, this is wire, so it can move. Providing you have fully turned that loop in the bottom, it shouldn't catch in your hair or anything like that. I'm just going to take that spiral and I'm just going to exaggerate it a little bit more by just giving it a little pull. And then of course we want symmetrical earrings. So I'm going to do that by lining them up together. And if I find, you know, pull gently on them because you don't want to pull out that coil. But if I feel that needs tightening up a little bit more, I'm just going to give that a little bend back into position and readjust. So it looks like this. And I've got my, again, they don't look as wonderful as they should do when they're lying flat on the table. So I'll put them in and I'll show you. But I'm just going to check that that curl looks even on each one. And that is as straightforward and simple as it is to make. I hope you're okay, Phoenix. It's just weird watching with no sound. So you can't hear me saying, I hope you're okay. Everyone's sending him lots of love. So that's it. That's how easy and straightforward it is to make the earrings. I'll take my earrings out and I'll pop this in so you can see. So you can get your kits on the Totally Beads website. They're called Helter Skelter. They are £4.99, I think it was, for 2 pairs of earrings. And they come in this lovely black and gold colourway. A little bit cute, aren't they? They also come in this gorgeous green iris colourway, and they're on the rhodium. So the black is on the gold, the iris is on the rhodium. And see, now I'm loving these ones and thinking maybe these might be my favourite. They're all lovely. And then we've got the clear AB as well. So this is the length that they sit on me. If you want to make them smaller, you can make your coil smaller, you can compact your coil a little bit more, and you can change the length of those if you want to. But they're very twinkly. And I think they're really, really cute. Ellie says, a lovely make, Natalie. Thanks, love. Sheila says, very nice earrings. Thank you for the demonstration. Anastasia's going shopping, which is lovely. Debbie says the clear AB are gorgeous. I think so too. I mean, I just think around Christmas or the party season, I think they'll be lovely for New Year. I think these would be lovely for Christmas. And then, as it's my bun, they'd be cute for Halloween. So I hope you really enjoyed them. Have a little look on the website, check out your kits. We do ship worldwide, so if you want them, you can get them. They're only £4.99, which is what, £2.50 for a pair of earrings. Everyone's been very kind. Jackie says they're lovely and thank you. Kay says they're cute. Anastasia says they'd be great for a wedding. Lisa says gorgeous earrings, thanks for the tutorial. So you seem to have enjoyed them, which is really, really nice. I'm getting back with you on Wednesday, and I'm making something a little bit different. Actually, I don't really think I've ever made anything quite like them before. I've used the components before, but not together in this way. I'm going to be making some lovely necklaces with you. So if you can come and join me on Wednesday, I'm going to be here 10 a.m. UK time. I'm here now every Monday and every Wednesday. You've got your other tutorials on Thursday evening and Fridays as well. So Debbie's got a good idea. She says, ooh, make a pyramid shape in the green for Christmas trees. Well, I've done some Christmas tree earrings before, and I've got some more kind of festive styles coming up as well. But yeah, the good thing is with the wire, you can change that shape for whatever you want to. Birgit says, thank you. You're most welcome. I hope you all have a really lovely week. Camille says, cute earrings. Thanks, Natalie. Hope you don't get any wetter later. I will do. Because even if it stops raining in the day, and I don't think it's going to today, the minute it's school run time, the heavens just open. So have a lovely week, everyone. Stay warm, stay dry, and